Today we're going to be talking about Chapter 6 in World History. Title is Ancient Rome and the Rise of Christianity. This first part is the story of their conquest of Italy and eventually the entire Mediterranean world. First, geography. The Italian peninsula, like a boot, juts into the Mediterranean Sea. This was easier to unify and less rugged than Greece that we previously talked about. They also had the advantage of broad, fertile plains for growing of crops and just easier to live on. About 750 miles by 120 miles is the dimensions of the Italian peninsula. The Apennines, which is a mountain range that runs down the extent of the peninsula, didn't divide this region like some of the mountains did in Greece. Okay, some of the different types of people. There were Indo-Europeans that moved in around 1500 to 1000 BC. Little is known about that group. So then we start with the ancestors of the Romans. They were called Latins. They migrated in about 800 BC. They came in along the Tiber River over 7 low-lying hills. The one that they eventually settled on became what we know as the city of Rome, and that was called the Palatine. Other people included Greek colonists and a group known as the Etruscans by 800 BC. The Etruscans borrowed, or the Romans borrowed from the Etruscans, the toga. They had the arch in construction. Also organization of their government was from the Etruscans. The Etruscans most influenced early Rome out of these groups more than any other. Okay, the word republic means thing of the people, and this was the new government around 509 BC. The Romans overthrew the last Etruscan king, and so the remnants of the Etruscans and some of these other groups basically were absorbed into Roman civilization, Roman culture. Early Rome was divided into two groups, patricians and plebeians. We'll be talking about plebeians a little bit later. But the patricians, these were wealthy members of the land-holding upper class, and this group also made up the Senate. Excuse me. Consuls, these were like CEOs, a chief executive officer from the patrician class. That was their duty to supervise government and command armies. In Ben-Hur we watched the man that Ben-Hur had rescued from the sea, Quintus Arrius. He was a consul and he was commanding that navy. Men in both groups, both patricians and plebeians, were citizens and could vote, but only patricians could hold public office. The term dictator, this is a ruler who has complete control over a government. There was something else, sorry. Okay, so the next one is plebeians, and these were farmers, merchants, artisans, and traders, and they made up the bulk of the population of Rome at that time. Okay, the tribunes, these were elected plebeian officials, and it was their duty to protect their interests. Any laws that were passed that might be troublesome for that group, they would protect against that. So any unfair acts of patrician officials, they would help that. And again, also from Ben-Hur, his friend Messala was at one point in the movie, he was a tribune. Plebeians won the right to have their laws in writing. These were called the 12 tables or 12 tablets. This was pretty much Rome's first code of laws, and this may not sound like much, but if you make an agreement, it's great that if you say something that you're going to stick to your word, and your word is your honor. But that always didn't happen, and so to have something in writing, you could say, look, it's here, it's a document, it's real. And so that was very important for them. The tribunes could veto, which means to block laws that they felt harmful to the plebeians. Also, some of the Roman ideas that were adopted or adapted by the United States. We have a Senate, we have the word veto, which is used often, and we also have checks on political power. One person can't just do something and then that's the way it is. It has to be voted on. People can vote against it. It's a good system as long as it works correctly. The family was the basic unit of Roman society. The father had absolute power within the home, but women did play a large role, in fact a larger role than what they did in Greek. So played a larger role in society than Greek women did. Both girls and boys learned to read and write. Many societies, even today, if they don't have the money or the means to educate both, then they'll probably send just the boy. And it's unfortunate, but that's the way it usually goes. All right, I think this is the last one for this page. So as far as expansion, armies expanded Roman power across Italy. Eventually we'll talk about how they went beyond those borders. A legion was a basic military unit made up of 5,000 men. Also, you can see this armor and the shield. It's a square shield. Here's the legion. That's not all of the legion, but there's a group of men there. And one thing they created was called a turtle. So the men on the outside would stand their shields up in front of them, right next to the man next to them, and then the others would put the shield up on top. And so it created a protective barrier. Someone was shooting arrows at them, they would just hit the shields and bounce off. Conquered people were treated with justice, treated fairly. These people were allowed to keep their customs, the religion, any money they had. Again, referring back to Ben-Hur. He was a very wealthy man, and when Messala came to visit, there was no threat on his life. He did want him to inform on some people, which he didn't ever end up doing. But so he was able to keep his money, his home, could pretty much carry on business as usual. So that was a positive thing that the Romans did for the most part with people that they took over. And that will finish up our first page for Rome. Thank you.